What's up, Get Fit fam? Welcome back to Authentic Alphas. Today we're going to do another quick gym tutorial. Today we're going to be dealing with the bicep, and I'm in a hotel gym, so I thought it'd be a good opportunity to show you guys how little equipment is needed to get a proper bicep workout. So this is going to be another tutorial for beginners. All right, so bicep for beginners. So we're going to keep it real simple, and we're just going to cover the main basis. Now, what I see happening a lot with fitness and with training is a lot of guys, or majority of people in general, are doing exercises and movements just because they're popular, just because they're the given, they're the norm, the status quo, and they don't know how these exercises operate, why they work and how they work. They don't know exactly why they're doing certain movements for certain body parts. They just know this is what everybody does for this body part, right? And this is why most people, regardless of how long they've been training, how often they go to the gym, are amateurs, all right? Now, what differentiates an amateur from a professional is really just two main things, all right? That's the understanding and being knowledgeable of a specific discipline, and whether or not you get paid for that discipline. That's what makes you a professional, right? So you got people that go to the gym 4 times a week, 5 times a week. They've been exercising for years, and because of that experience in that time period, they think that they're not amateurs, but they don't know how or why any of the movements that they do work. They don't understand the exercises fundamentally. So I don't care if you've been doing something for 5 years. If you don't understand how it works and why it works, you're an amateur, all right? So that's not to offend anyone. That's just being real so that we can learn something, and this will be useful and highly beneficial to you. So when we're dealing with the bicep, let's just strip it down to the basics. What does the bicep muscle do? Obviously, you have 2 heads, hence the name bi, and what does it do? The bicep in the arm is extremely similar to the hamstring. In fact, the hamstring is also called a bicep muscle, right? So you got 2 heads, and how does that lever work? So what are the 3 main things that the bicep does? It bends the arm at the elbow joint. It supinates the wrist. And it also raises the bicep towards the anterior delt. Real simple, all right? Now this one trips a lot of people out because when they see this movement, they're used to thinking of dumbbell raises or basically shoulder exercises, all right? The body does not differentiate itself into different parts. That's not how the body thinks of itself. So no matter what muscle you're trying to work, you are gonna incorporate other muscles. The body is one cohesive unit, all right? So now let's just get into these movements that you see commonly being done, and I'm gonna tell you why people, why those exercises exist, what that exercise is actually doing as far as engaging the bicep, so that you know what you should be focused on while doing those exercises. And I'm gonna give you examples of why I think this is important, because I see a lot of people doing exercises and they don't even emphasize what it is that that exercise is useful for in the first place. They're just going through the motions. They're just moving from A to B. All right, so let's start with one of the most common things that you're gonna see, which is just a simple rope pull. All right, so let me start by making an obvious point. You're gonna recognize a bicep exercise because they're all gonna have this one thing in common. No matter what the bicep exercise is, all of them are gonna bend at the elbow joint. So that's what people are, that's what people associate most with working biceps. It's just, as long as you're doing this motion, right? as long as you're bending at the elbow. But here's the thing. What's making the rope different? All right, well, first of all, the rope is giving you a different type of hold. You have more of a hammer grip. The next thing is it allows you to supinate the wrist. So I see a lot of people doing this with the rope, but they're not supinating the wrist. They're just doing this, okay? So take advantage of that, guys. Supinate the wrist, right? That's one of the key things that the bicep does besides bend at the elbow joint, okay? Next, dumbbell curls, right? Probably the most common thing for biceps, okay? And the bicep curls allow you to do one of the other key things that the bicep does besides bend at the elbow joint and supinate at the wrist. It also allows you to bring the bicep muscle up to the shoulder. So if you're gonna do it, make sure that you're hitting all three of those key points. I see a lot of people doing this with bicep curls. That's all they're doing. They're not getting a full stretch, which is actually hard to do with this anyway, but they're not actually going all the way here, fully lengthening the bicep or stretching it. They're also not going here and fully contracting it, and they're also not doing this and bringing the bicep towards the shoulder, and they're not supinating the wrist. So a lot of progress wasted by just doing this is what I'm trying to say, guys. When you could be doing this, you could be supinating the wrist, contracting the bicep fully, and bringing it up to the shoulder. If you're gonna get it all. Don't leave any money on the table, so they say. All right, so I'm gonna just do 4 basic exercises for you guys and point out what you should be focusing on while doing those exercises. All 4 of them are simple. All 4 of them you can do in almost any basic ass gym. Even one like this, that's just in a hotel. Let's get into it. Bicep cable curls. Real simple. I like to supinate the wrist as much as possible with this. Now, of course, most people would go from cable curls into something like barbell curls or maybe dumbbell curls, but I think that's pretty redundant. If you already did cable curls, you don't necessarily want to go into something as similar. But what I am going to do is some curls here on this bench and pretty much simulate what would be a preacher curl. And I'm going to tell you why preacher curls are effective, and you see a lot of old school bodybuilders doing it, because I guarantee you these things that I'm pointing out, as simple as they are, 75% of so-called gym rats don't know these things, which is why, regardless of their frequency in the gym, they are amateurs. All right, so a muscle is going to give you a lot better results. It's going to grow a lot faster if it's worked in a stretch position. So try to implement at least one exercise, guys, where you have the muscle in a stretch position. Now, there's a difference between stretched and lengthened. If the bicep is like this, it's simply lengthened. It's not stretched until there's some type of tension, some type of pull in the opposite direction of where it wants to go. That's forcing the muscle to be stretched out with force. Hence, there should be some kind of pain. Now, a preacher curl is awesome for getting a stretch in the bicep, because when you put it here, there's weight, right? There's weight, there's some leverage there, some tension here. But if you lean back, now there's really a stretch there. And the heavier that weight is, the more you lean back and go against your elbows, the more painful it's gonna be. Then you come up and you contract. So make sure you're going all the way to the bottom. You're feeling that pain in the elbow area, that stretch, that good stretch. Coming up and contracting. Now you know that you're working the muscle in a stretch position. All right? Simple, but I see a lot of people missing it. I see a lot of people doing their preacher curl, you know, all comfortable and whatnot. I see them doing this and, you know. Don't leave any money on the table, guys. Now, something you will notice, and the preacher curl is a good example, If you compare your max weight on, say, a dumbbell curl with your max weight on a preacher curl, I guarantee you the preacher curl is going to be significantly less. So for me, I can dumbbell curl upwards of 50 pounds, right? Still keeping proper form. So 45, 50-pound dumbbells, I can still have perfect form with a dumbbell curl. I'm not using 50 pounds with a preacher curl. It's just not gonna happen. I'm gonna be more in the 25 or 30 pound, weight, okay? And obviously for the same amount of reps. Now, anytime you see that, that means that the exercise where you have to use less weight is probably gonna get you more results. It's probably gonna get you more gains because the muscle is weaker in that position, and you probably stand to get a lot more growth from targeting those exercises that require you to use less weight. For example, how much can you squat? And then how much can you sissy squat? Exactly. Most people struggle to sissy squat their own body weight. So the preacher curl, I went with a reduced weight and just focused more on getting as much of a stretch as possible and as much as a contraction as possible. But now I'm gonna do the opposite. I'm gonna do a movement that allows me to use the most amount of weight per bicep, and that would be the hammerhead curl. So this is the exercise that I would rely on to overload the bicep. If I was fortunate enough to have a Smith machine here, sometimes I might do drag curls. That's a whole other thing, that's a more advanced movement. Let's just focus on something simple, like dumbbell curls. Sorry, hammerhead curls. All right, so what makes it a hammerhead is obviously the grip. So notice I'm not using too much momentum. I'm basically just using the bicep, getting a good pull, getting a good contraction, and using as much weight as possible. Rep ranges anywhere from 8 to 12 would be great. Even as low as 6 would be awesome if you're going really heavy. So that would be exercise number 3. Sorry guys, 3. I didn't watch too much Sesame Street. And we're just gonna do one more movement, and that's about as simple as I can keep it for biceps. All right, so you wanna make sure you leave it all in the gym. So after you get through those 3 movements, go ahead and try to end it off with this. And the name of the game here is just tension. So what you're looking for here is holds, static holds, all right? Which is similar to working the negative. It's not the same, but similar. And what you wanna do is you wanna go ahead and contract, and you wanna hold it and squeeze. Make sure you have a ton of tension. You want it to be very challenging. You want it to be something that you can barely hold for a minute. And you just wanna go ahead and give yourself 3 to 4 rounds of 60-second holds. All right, real simple, but it does wonders for making the muscle nice and hard and dense and consolidated. So you wanna work the positive, you wanna work the negative, the eccentric, you wanna go ahead and try to do some static holds, mix it up. But again, this is biceps for beginners. So become an expert at the basics and then gradually implement up in different areas, overload, more time under tension, higher reps, more weight, different positions, whatever you gotta do to make it more difficult, more challenging. Just like anything else in life, guys. Keep challenging yourself so that you're prepared for anything. That's about it for this particular tutorial. Go ahead and continue to email me, guys, for the online training, for the consults, for the fitness plans, the training programs, the diet plans, all that good stuff. Keep it authentic, get those motherfucking gains. We're out here. Peace.